By now, we should have our basic output information for our frames and current labels for both the things, and we've added that pre code. Now we're going to go with our buttons, and we're going to get our stop and play buttons and our start and end and previous and next buttons to work. So we're going to be doing a little bit different coding this time. So I'm going to go back to my actions panel, create a new section. So this will be the mouse events. And I'm going to create a function, and this is going to be mouse handler. I'll just call it mouse handler. Of course, mouse should probably be lowercase to start off with. And it will indeed have an event, mouse event, that makes it work. Then we'll do void. Now, I've just created just the basic mouse event handler, and then I'm going to create a simple trace in here just so we know it works. And I can remove that trace, of course, after I know that it's going to work. Now, what we're going to do is anytime we click on any object, we want this function to run. So I'm going to create my event listener, but I'm going to add it to the stage, because this time I'm going to add it to everything. Add event listener, and that will be a mouse event dot click. And of course, we are going to run the mouse handler. So our final code for this, if I can expand that out just a little bit, is function mouse handler, event colon mouse event, void, trace it works, stage add event listener mouse event dot click. Now, anytime I click on any object, oops, move that out of the way. Anytime I click on any object, I should be getting this to work. There we go. Now I can click on any object, and you'll see anytime I click on something, it's outputting a new "it works." Well, that's really good because, of course, this lets us know that we can actually trace even where the event is happening from. So we know it's working. So if I do event.target.name, now I can trace each name of the button that I click on. You may remember this from before. So it knows what button I'm clicking on, which is really great, because that means that now I have the ability to use that information to create a conditional for whether or not, if that button was clicked, then I can run something. So the typical way to do this is with some sort of conditional statement. So let's go back to our code, and let's just look at the first button that we want. I believe this is called stop_btn, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to actually do a conditional with this trace here. I can go ahead and comment that out, because I'll just do a conditional right underneath this. And I'll do if the event.target.name, if the event.target.name equals, and it needs to be a double equals because just an equal by itself is an assignment operator, and the double equals is what's called a comparison operator. And that if it equals stop_btn, so that string, then what I'm going to do is run some events. So I have to put those new events inside curly brackets, and the event that I'll have in here is trace it works for right now. It's always a good idea to start off with just trace commands just to make sure that things are going to work. So let's try that out. And whoops, if I go to my output, because I am going to need that here in a second, I can try clicking on some different buttons, and of course I go to the stop button, and you'll see it works when I output that particular button. So we know that that's going to work. Now all we have to do is put whatever function, or sorry, event, keep on saying function and event, action we want to happen here. So the action that we're going to do is this dot stop. We're going to stop the main timeline. Now we can copy that same thing, go another line down, and now we'll say if it's the play button, this dot play. Pretty easy to do this, of course. Now I can hit play and stop, play and stop. So with just generic event listeners, I'm able to make those buttons work. And it's pretty easy for us to do. Now we can continue to do this all the way down, and we can create event listeners for basically everything. So I'm going to skip the start and end because I think you can use go to and stop, go to and stop start, go to and stop end. You can figure that out from other timeline things that you've done. But the previous to next is going to be something that's a little new. And what we're going to do is, let me find out what the name of those buttons are just to start off with. We have previous button and next button, so prev_btn. So let's do prev and then next as my two different buttons. And what we're going to do is use previous frame and next frame. prevFrame, I believe it's what it is. And the other one is nextFrame. So let's see how that works. Now, if we hit next and previous, you'll see each time we click, it will jump one frame forward and one frame backward. And of course, we can play, stop, and then go backward at any time. Now, the problem with previous to next frame, of course, is that it only jumps one frame at a time. So that's why we really need to know about this current frame stuff. And we're going to be doing that in the next tutorials. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and finish creating your function for your stop, play, start, end, previous to next buttons. And then what you can do is you can create a similar function for your timeline down here. Now, if you really wanted to try and do a different, like, what is it, pre-oop function, I think that you might be kind of getting in trouble. So I would just suggest that you make these as new conditions of the basic event handler. So you would just copy and paste this stuff below and put in the new button names. I would suggest that you might want to put some comments in here for car buttons, and then maybe at the top do main buttons. That way we can tell within these conditional statements which ones relate to what. So you'll have your car stop, which will make your car_MC, and your, of course, car_MC again for play when you have your car play. So hopefully this should work, and it does. So, and you can see, of course, we've got our frames updating as well. So continue for both the timelines to do your start, end, previous, and next buttons until you have everything done. And then we're going to look at another way to program that as well.